I've left the diffusers off in the front because it blows like really nice right in your face here almost. So I'll put those on later. But I've had some time in the cab now after the install, and I gotta say, yeah, this heater, after it's in, is really nice. I mean, really just an amazing heater. I do eventually get too hot in here, so I'll get to the installation portion of this video next. Check it out. And over here we're in hell. Just to go over the coolant line. This came off the machine, which I'm gonna actually be, I think, cutting a slight bend off of this to use, but it came with these two hoses, which this one in the directions seems like it would make sense being an S, although it's twice as long as it would have to be to make it work in the directions. Like I'm cutting it down, and some of the hose have like a green mark, and like this one says inlet. I don't really know exactly what they refer to as the inlet, and I don't give a shit. I've spent way too much time trying to figure out how to make these pre-bent hoses work. They make no sense. This makes no sense. I don't even know if I'm going to use that hose altogether. I literally just need this piece. I need another bend, and then like I should be able to cut a piece off of this to tie into my HVAC unit. But ridiculous. The sub-assembly A that you do first in the directions, where you cut and put a T. The directions show a Y. I was given a T. Still going to work. I cut like 3 inches, I think, off that because it was ridiculously long too. And this still doesn't really fit like I think it should. It's what I got. You get some extra hose covering, a bunch of clamps. I had to buy a tool for these ear clamps, Oetiker clamps, whatever. There's a few tools that might work on the shelf at your auto parts store, but they don't. You got to get a particular one with some really sharp jaws, and that is the one that I found was this Lyle tool. See how it's pointy? And that will actually catch the ridges of them clamps, whereas some of them it's like a flat square tip there, and those don't work. Moving on, we got an air filter that we get now, some foam harness, 4 bags of hardware right there, a part that I still have no clue what it does, and I don't think I'll be using it, but it's here. Typical screws and everything. The box that it came in was that HVAC unit right there. It was 3 boxes altogether in a giant box, but yeah, your HVAC unit was really nicely packed. And then down here is kind of like the filler parts. I got a firewall panel I'll be putting in, my new lower dash cubby, and then the star of the show, besides the heat, will be that new cup holder that goes to the front that everybody seems to want so bad. Since you lose 2 cup holders with the vents, they give you 2 back. And then, of course, this will be my new dash bezel for 2 more vents blowing in the face, and then, of course, the controls. So, welcome to hell. Off-road hell, if there's such a place. This job has really not been fun. I figured out real quick here that there was no way in hell I would have gotten to that thermostat hose clamp to cut and remove that hose without pulling my front bumper and being able to pull the radiator front forward like that. So first things first, pull the front end off. Just do it. Save yourself the time. And now it's just going to be so much easier. I mean, look at it. I just stick my hand right down in there and get to it. Boom. I can't forget this stupid little panel that's in the way too. So this fits down in there on top of all them coolant lines. Just creates kind of a little barrier in the tray, and I don't know how well this is going to go back in now that I kind of changed things, but just a note that, you know, I took this out. When you're looking at it from the side in there, all you can see is kind of the side angle, and it makes it so you just can't do anything to get in there. So I took it out, and now I got to put it back in. Got the new HVAC unit. This is just kind of dry fit. I had to put some clamps in here. I'll show another little skit of that. New cup holder mounts to that. Got the screen and the HVAC. All the panels are off here for access to the coolant tubes. All right, I had the HVAC unit kind of dry fit in here. It's taken out. So I finally have my hose situation set up. I'm going to do my 2 connections here and everything. But real quick, so there's some frame mounts that have to go in for the box, and I had an insert already in my frame, which was great. That saved me a little bit of work there. Up there you can see there's another bracket right there with the threaded post. So that just went on two threaded posts that were already there, kind of next to the steering wheel. And then down here I had to cut a hole in that kind of upper square to get a bracket down in there. And I had a hole in the frame but no insert, so I didn't have that tool. So what I did is I just finagled my hand down in there with a little wrench and held a nut underneath it, and it took a while to finally get the angle and get it threaded, but it's in there. Hopefully it doesn't come loose. So, well, this is what I came up with. So thermostat, and then it goes back to a T there. This wasn't what was in the directions, but there's my hoses going into the HVAC unit. There's my T instead of the Y, and so right there, that's where my T goes down for the other hose. And then that was the other hose that we take off and reconnect, all clamped with the special tool. And that's what I got. So once again, pull the radiator and just get right to that stuff. Save yourself a headache. Yeah, I think now I can put my HVAC unit in. I switched to stainless worm clamps there because the little ear clamps that came with, they don't fit over the bulge once the rubber is on that pipe, and it just, screw it. I just put a couple stainless clamps on there. But now, yeah, I got a firewall panel that goes on there, then the unit, and then ductwork, finally. Highly recommend a piece of cardboard and taking all the screws and kind of marking them and putting them in, you know, one thing. All right, here we have the HVAC ductwork portion. So you got your two supply ducts here that will attach to the back of the HVAC unit. This one here, so you've got a junction there on the top. This one has two outlets on it. This will feed those two front, right in your face supplies, vents. And then it hits the dashboard defrost, and then comes down here, hits the cup holder, and then that will hit the floor. On the right side, separate duct system, supply, and this gets the longer tube. That gets the shorter tube right there of the two extra tubes, and then these Ys are all just kind of one piece made. One thing with these defrosters is they kind of have a high point and a low point, and by the picture, the low point goes to the right, and this has to go kind of around the dashboard. So the low part to the right, and then you've got your grill cover, and you can actually turn it off and on, which is kind of cool. And then in a separate kit, oh, got your vent caps there. In the separate kit was the potentiometer and the fan blower switch and the knobs for the control unit, which I think we'll go ahead and put together next. All right, so we got our HVAC display here, and then the wiring harness, the one wiring harness that came with it. So the fan control goes on the left, and you'll see there's a side notch on there. It only goes in one way. That's this unit, which is like a multi-copper plug. This isn't plugged in all the way, I just have it there. And then on the hot and air, we'll call it, since it's not air conditioning, this is the potentiometer. It has a little pin there, which easily goes into that little hole right there. So this is pretty foolproof, easy. The HVAC unit itself has two connectors coming off of it, so like I know that's good. We've got two fuses here. If you pop that off, there's a fuse in there, two fuses, and then this will hit those battery terminals behind the front dash plate for powering the unit. I have to cut some slots in my upper kind of console area that these will pop into and sit in. One quick note. Spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to save the cup holders. No, get rid of them. There is no way. Those little tabs that go in here are so thick. I had every kind of pry bars, flathead screwdriver. Just save the time. Pop them out on each side with a little flat bar. Just don't ruin your machine. Take it, try not to mess and scratch your machine up. But the cup holders are a casualty of this project. And they could still be used and like screwed in, but just the tabs, forget about it. So I'm all put back together and installed. As you can see, there's that plastic panel, that shroud that fits kind of in that radiator housing. Pain in the ass getting that back in, because it also clamps on top of the coolant lines. They all kind of clamp underneath that. And once again, like, okay, fit 48 inches of tubing and a hose tool in there, and just, you can get everything done from in here, BRP says. Yeah, bullshit. I did not, once again, go into too much detail, as you saw, with pulling every single little panel apart, because I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. There's some screws underneath there for the front fenders. Got the air filter now, just like the Limited. The front end came off pretty easy. It's I think it was 4 bolts for the bumper, and then down in there's some bolts for this plastic kind of battery compartment to come up and off. And anyways, really just an amazing system. Absolutely love it. I have not put on all of the diffusers yet, because I just like this just full airflow. I mean, it's really powerful, and I just like having the full airflow, because this thing kicks. So my Memphis stereo that I have, there's an amp that was mounted underneath my upper dash panel. To accommodate the HVAC unit, I had to actually move that amp forward. So making some room for that. I got this void of space here now, which I don't know, I'll try to figure out a cubby storage or something. But I did not pinch off my radiator tubes for the install, and I really regret not doing that, because I think I spent $60 on like 5 quarts of fluid. I bought 3, it wasn't enough. I bought 1, wasn't enough, and I bought another one. So yeah, 5 quarts at $11. So pinch off your tubes and save some coolant if you can, and you'll save some money. But otherwise, the kit, it's expensive, like $1,620 plus tax. But it has been a game changer in here. Install, just a horrible install. I would say if your dealer, quotes like $800 for that, or maybe even $1,000 or something. So we've got heat